Good evening, everybody. My name is Andy Lyon. I'm a public information officer here on the Swan Lake Fire, coming to you from our incident command post in Soldotna. A very quiet day on the fire, I'm happy to report, but a very busy day here at the incident command post. We have a lot of new folks coming into town because we are about to go through what we call a transition from one team to the next. If you've been here all summer, you know that this is the 7th team that has been in charge of this fire, so maybe you're familiar with that. But the way it works is the new folks come in town. We gave them an extensive informational briefing this afternoon, and then they're going to hang out with us all day tomorrow and kind of work side by side with us so that they know as much as we can possibly tell them over the next 24 hours what they need to know about your communities and about the fire and about what we've been doing about it and what they are expected to do about it. So that's happening. Again, out on the fire, quiet day, and it was a quiet day because of all that rain we got yesterday and overnight. Over ½ an inch over most of the fire overnight, and today humidity levels way up 50–60%, and very little stuff is going to burn when it's that wet. There was very little wind and there was very little sun on the fire. So all of those three mitigating factors meant very little fire activity. But there's still fire out there, and we still fly an infrared image flight over the fire each night to get our acreage, weather permitting, and if the plane doesn't have mechanical issues. And that still shows that there's areas underground that are burning. We're still working. If those are near the control lines, like on the western side here on the Sterling-Soldotna side, if those are near control lines, we go in and put them out. If they're inside the fire, we don't, because it's too far inside to send firefighters in there safely. But I want to point out, as our fire behavior analyst did tonight, that the ground here is like a big sponge. All that peat moss and that organic material is deep. It's 2 to 3 feet deep in a lot of places, and it's historically dry. Usually, you know better than me, that you dig down a little bit, you're going to hit moist water of like the center of a wet sponge. You dig down now, it's dry. At the moment, the top part of that sponge is wet, and it's not going to burn, which is great. But down deep, there's still stuff burning. And that stuff still has the ability to burn and weaken trees that appear to be standing and healthy, and they can fall over at a moment's notice. And that is why some of your public lands that you want to get into so badly, and we understand that, some of those still remain closed. There's no changes on the closures today. We're continuing to work with our partners and to assess and to see what we can comfortably do to reopen this stuff as quickly as we can, but we don't want to get anybody hurt. So we're not rushing. We're not trying to keep you out of the places you want to be, but we don't want anybody to get hurt, firefighters or you. So that's why some of your public areas remain closed. There are going to be new information officers here to give you a constant information flow, so that's not going to change. And we appreciate all the support that all of you have shown us, Cooper Landing, Sterling, everywhere in between. We know it can be a stressful time when there's smoke in the air, when your highway's closed, when your schools are closed. Some of us have gone through that in our own communities. I certainly don't know what it would be like to do that for 90 days, but we certainly appreciate all the hospitality that all of you have shown us. And one last note, end on a high note, the Caribou Lake Fire down by Homer is now 100% contained, and we're putting that in what we call a monitor status. The fire line's secure all the way around it. We'll continue, we're turning it back to the Alaska Department of Forestry, so they'll continue to keep an eye on it from time to time, but that one is wrapped up, and so that's a little bit of good news. And we will be back again tomorrow morning with one of our operations folks for one update in that regard. And have a good night.